Hey guys, it's Todd with Empire Music. For this week's Nuts and Bolts segment, I wanted to just quickly talk about differences between a synchronized bridge and a fixed bridge, using a couple Fenders as examples. We'll go over the differences and advantages, disadvantages, and stuff like that. So right here on this player strat, this is what they call the synchronized bridge. You'll find this on most Fenders. The why it's called synchronized is it has the springs, and in other words, it's like a floating bridge. So you're going to find this again on most strats, unless it's a hardtail, which you don't really see anymore. But this is kind of significant to the Stratocaster. So what's the advantage of it? Well, the advantage of it is to allow you to bend the notes without using your fingers. So it adds vibrato to single notes or chords. So it's almost like similar to adding vibrato. You hear saxophone players add the vibrato to the note. Well, this is a way to add that vibrato to your notes or chords. Obviously, like probably the most famous guy I know of is David Gilmour, who makes his guitar sound like a saxophone, or guys like Jeff Beck. But so that's the advantage of the synchronized bridge, just to be able to do that. Now, with that though, there is a disadvantage. So you have the ability to bend the notes, but what you can't do, especially when the bridge is floating, is start to drop tune or do any kind of alternate tuning. Because what happens is once you drop, say we do drop D, as soon as I drop this note, it's dropping everything because it's relying on the tension of those springs. So there's each string is not independent or have independent tension, so to speak. So great for doing the vibrato. Not so great if you're into any kind of drop tuning or any alternate tuning, especially on the fly, or if you're in a band that you do different keys, or if you go from E to E flat. Strat's not a good guitar to do that with. Again, unless you're decking the bridge, which then kind of avoids the vibrato itself. So that's the deal with the synchronized bridge. Now, if you don't really care so much about the vibrato or bending of the bridge, then you go with something like this, which is fixed. They call this like the adjust-o-matic with a stop bar. Of course, Gibson calls it the tune-o-matic, but what you can see the difference is no springs, nothing involved. This is not like a string through to the up top. This is the strings actually are fixed on the stop bar. So what does that do? Well, for one, you don't have this anymore, but I mean you can still bend with your fingers, right? So, but with the advantage of this is that say you did want to do a drop D, it's not going to change any of the strings because each string it's independent. There's nothing, there's no springs. It's not relying on those springs for tension. So I could tune this any way I want, and it's not going to affect any other strings. That's also great too if you're playing live and you all of a sudden break a string. None of the other strings are going to go out. Whereas the synchronized bridge, that's a lot of trouble there. So that's one big advantage of this. Also because the strings are now on the top loaded instead of from the back up, the tension of the strings is going to be a little different. So we're shortening the length of the string. So the top loading strings are going to feel a little slinkier than say the ones you're going to run through from behind up, because there's just a little bit less tension on these. So you could typically run a little heavier string on a bridge like this than say on a Fender guitar like that. So again, that's just kind of a real quick rundown of a fixed bridge versus to like a floating or a synchronized bridge. If you have any other questions, by all means come in, talk to me. I can go into more depth about the bridges, but just real quick, just want to run that by everybody. So again, this is Todd. Thanks for checking out this video, and until next time, we'll see you.